filling you in on what happened with the Votann list I built last week and took. So just a quick rundown to remind everybody of what it was. Arcs of Omen, Detachment, Fast Attack, Greater Thurian League. Took the Forge Master, upgraded with Master Armor, Armorer, and that's just lets him take it. Grimnir, Warlord trait Pragmatic Wisdom. Relic, the Murmuring Stave, so he can do a Psychic Power, and even though he's done a Psychic action. Generic Call with just a Plasma Axe, Volkite Disintegrator, and a Teleport Crest. Uthar the Destined with Ancestral Bearing, Experience Die, his Warlord traits. 10-man Hearthkin Warrior Squad. Nothing extra on the Sergeant. 1 Magna Rail Rifle and a Metapack. 2 5-man Hearthguard squads with Plasma Blades and Disintegrators. This one Sergeant I gave the Relic Warp Strike for the 12-inch Deep Strike deny and the free Deep Strike. Both squads have Teleport Crests. 3 Hernkin Pioneer squads. 3-man with the High Labs Rotary and a Scanner in each. 2 Sagittars with the Autocannon. Then a Land Fortress, which is not really showing right here, which had the Bolt Cannons and the Heavy Magna Rail. And the Scanner. I like leaving the Scanner on it for the ignore cover. So that's basically what we took. Our first matchup was into, let's see this right here. First matchup was into Custodes, Emperor's Chosen. He was running a Blade Champion with a Relic and some Warlord traits. I don't know Custodes as well as I know some other armies, so I definitely wasn't exactly sure how to approach this. Trajan, who I know is a beast. 3 Sagittarium Custodes. 3 single Alaris Custodians. So these were his OBSEC. 2 Achilles Dreadnoughts with Last Storm Bolters. 2 squads of Ventari Custodians with a Kinetic Destroyer, Miscordia, and a Terrace Buckler on this one squad. And then the Miscordia and a Lance on the other squad. A squad of Witch Seekers with Flamers. They were basically anti-psychic stuff. And then 3 Caladius Grav Tanks. So that's what I was looking at. And let's see. The first mission we did was tear down their icons. And at these tournaments, they do player placed. So we each had a big ruin, 2 smaller ruins, a forest, and a set of 4 crates. So he won the defender role and ended up putting his 4 crates right in like a little V, so he could hold this objective from his side without being seen. I have had, when I used to run my Space Wolves, I've gotten shot pretty bad by Custodes before. So I dropped my crates as my first drop right here to give me somewhere to like run my bikes and stuff up behind because I didn't want to just be getting shot by the Caladiuses. Then he dropped a ruin like here, here, and here, and then a forest back here somewhere. I kind of did something similar, like ruin here, just ruin over this objective. Looking back, his shooting didn't do as much to me as I thought it would. So I probably should have put my crates back here, maybe my forest there, just so I had more shooting lanes into him. I think those crates ended up hindering me more than him. So that was an initial mistake. All right, and then I won the role to go first. And let's bring this up. So the secondaries I took were Raised Banners, Lay Claim, Ancestors Are Watching. He took Raised Banners, Assassination, Stand Vigil. Those who don't know, Stand Vigil is a Custodes trait, or Custodes secondary, which at the end of the battle round, if they control more No Man's Land's objective than you do, they get 3 points. And mine, our Lay Claim, is 3 objectives he places that outside his deployment zone. That if I control at the end of the game, I get 5 for each. And Ancestors are watching, I get points for killing units with Judgment tokens on them. Alright, so with Lakeland and Sand Vigil, we both wanted to go second. And so I won the roll, and so I had to go first. So my initial thought was, if I sat back and we just both get 8 on primary, then him going last, he would get that 12 on secondary, which would give him a 4-point advantage there. So that wasn't good. Then I was like, all right, well, with the secondaries, can I overcome that 4 points confidently? Banners. So if we both sit back, that's a tie. I can't do that. Going first, lay claim. If I don't kill him and he gets to move second, I'm zeroing that. So I couldn't sit back for that. But he also had assassination. So if I sit back, I could almost, possibly zero him if he doesn't come at me. So those could potentially zero out. But this is where it was. And Ancestors are watching. If I don't go get him, I'm not getting points. And Stand Vigil, with him going second, I knew if I sat back, he was going to run away there. So he was at an advantage on primary, and he was at an advantage on secondary. Now, so that's just also saying my secondary choices probably wasn't great because I have to go second in this matchup. I mean, I don't know what he's picking. He could have picked aggressive ones and had to come to me, and then I could have sat back and countered. So, but I probably shouldn't have taken Ancestors Are Watching and Lay Claim. I probably should have taken. I could have taken the Psychic one because I had, although we had the Psychic denying unit, so that could have been tough. So I'm not actually sure which secondaries would have been better. Possibly, because I can't take Bring It Down, can't take Assassinate, can't take really. I could have tried Grind, but then if he's playing defensive, I already took Banners. So I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't think there's a lot of good secondaries for me in this matchup. Because he didn't give up a lot of No Prisoners. He didn't give a lot of Bring It Down. He didn't give a couple Assassinate, but they're tough characters, and if I take that, he probably sits them back and have to dig through his army, which isn't easy to do against Custodes. So there's probably secondary choices. Not sure if there's anything better, but I know these weren't great. And then my deployment of the terrain wasn't great. So that ended up being the real difference, because my first turn, I knew that if I just sat, we both sat, I was going to lose. So I pushed hard to see if I could make something happen. And that ended up not working. So if I just sat back and he just sat back, I would have lost. But it would have probably been more like 90 to 75, 90 to, something like that. But you can't just sit back and take the loss. You got to try to do something. So I went hard to see if I could make something happen. It didn't work. Now, if I had managed to go second, which now we're just talking ifs and whats, in this matchup with the secondaries we took, then I have the potential for the 4, if we 8, 8, 8, 12, the potential extra 4 there, which is good. Banners, same thing, probably neutralize out. Assassination, I can sit my guys back. I try to keep my fast upset alive to go try to get 10 to 15 on lay claim, so that's an advantage to me there. Ancestor Watching, if I sit back, probably isn't a lot of points for me, but I can really probably almost 0 or 3 them here. So if I go second, we both sit back, I win. Steven was a very good player, so I'm sure he would have noticed that and tried to, as I did, push into me, which I actually think Custodes probably do better than I do. So if he had pushed into me, he, I believe, would have had a better chance than I did when I pushed into him. I still think I could pull it out, because if he pushes into me now, I could be doing damage, moving back, shooting, which helps me build up my ancestors. And as long as I'm denying him the stand vigils and assassinations, I do think I can win in that matchup. But I've got to find a way to either fix my secondary game or the list so that I don't have a matchup like this that it's very dependent on who goes first or second if the skill levels are even close to equal. So that's where I have to look at the list and what secondaries I took, and can I change the list to build into possibly more consistent secondaries, not that aren't as dependent on my opponent giving me kill secondaries. So that was the first game. I lost 97-50. Really nice guy, really good looking army. Played it well, didn't make any real mistakes. Deployed his terrain well, so it was probably the best player I played all day. But so then after that, we were 0-1 going into the next bracket, or the next game, which was, all right, where are these? All right, so we did tear down the icons. Right, thought I had these all pulled up. Was that downloads? Yep, here we go. All right, so the next mission was conversion. Oh, that's where they were. Okay, they're in the paint. All right, so the next mission was conversion. And this game, I went into a Tau player. He didn't actually submit his list, so I can't show you his list. But I'll try to run it down off the best I can off the top of my head. He had 2 Crisis Suit commanders, 1 big Crisis Suit squad with drones and everything in it. He had a Devilfish with breachers in it. He had 2 4-man units of Crude Hounds. He had 2 or 3 10-man units of Fire Warriors. He had a Riptide. He had a Hammerhead, and he had a Storm Surge. I don't think Tau match up well into Votann, and I don't personally think that's a great Tau list. So I went into it because I've had good luck with Tau. Feeling fairly confident. So wait a minute. So he won the role for placing terrain. And he placed a forest right in the middle, and then I did the same thing. Forest just slightly off speed that, so we had just wide open shooting at each other. So I once again took banners, which I seem to do fairly well with that. I took Lakeland, and I took Psychic Interrogation. He took Decisive Action, Aerospace Targeting Relays, and Assassination. So this game I did want to go first, and so I did win the role. I actually went first all 3 games. But this game, so we got to go first, and I put a good amount of damage into him. I picked up the Hammerhead. I picked up one of the Fire Warrior squads. I picked up a squad of Crude Hounds. And that was it. I only pushed out a little bit, didn't push out too hard. Tried to play the angles we had with our buildings and stuff. So really only exposed 1 bike unit. And then my Sagittars and my Land Fortress were, when he moved out, he was going to have to be shooting across the forest. So he jumped over towards my 1 bike squad, killed them, managed to kill another bike out of another squad, but his Riptide and his Storm Surge shooting across the forest at me with no buffs on them, because he sent all the buffs over with the stealth suit, or no, crisis suits, were hitting on 5s, and they really did nothing. They did a couple wounds to the Land Fortress, which I was able to heal. So overall, his shoot, he just couldn't hit on the 5s, and his dice were slightly below average, I'll say, everywhere else. So then on my turn, I had, other than 4 bikes, pretty much my whole army. I managed to pick up the Storm Surge, all but 1 Crisis Suit, and put the Riptide down to 4 wounds. And at that point, there wasn't much he could do. As you see here, I got, raised 2 banners, and then started turn 2 at 12 because I pushed out, and he kind of just sat back and shot. Then his turn 2, he got the 4, shot at me with the 4 wound Riptide and the 1 suit and a couple commanders, and just didn't have enough to really do anything back into me. And I missed Psychic Interrogation the first turn because I was in the range, and then managed to get it the rest of the game. And at that point, on my turn 3, I 12 again. I'm doing the corrupted ground for holding middle stuff. I pick up the Riptide, kill some more Fire Warriors, finish off the last suit, and at that point, I'm just trying to leave one of his commanders alive to interrogate, but I'm really just picking up everything else by the end of turn. So that was 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So by the end of turn 4, he really only had 1 commander left. So yeah, so turn 3, he left 4 because I didn't take him off that objective. And then on his turn 3, then on my turn 4, I finally cleared him off that objective. And that was it. He only got the 2 controls, and he did aerospace relay he did 2 of them on turn 1, I believe. That's how it worked. Not sure why it's over here. But yeah, turn 1, he ran, because it was that, with table quarter deployment, he just ran to the 2 right next to his table quarter, did those, and then he never really made it any further than that. So, wasn't a great list. Tau was in a good matchup. It really didn't learn much about my list. I mean, my dice were fairly decent, average, weren't like great, weren't bad. His were a little bad. And it's a bad matchup, and it's a bad list, so I don't think I really learned much about my list, whether what was good, what was bad, what to improve. Like, the first game, the loss, helped learn more about the list. This just, everything was efficient, everything did well, so it's like, that's what happens sometimes when you lose your first game. You get down into when you lose, when 2 decent players get paired round 1, sometimes you'll pair down into a more casual player. So he was a nice guy. We kind of sped through the last rounds once he only had a couple models left. Not like. So we ended finished with like an hour and a half left. And so I actually went out and took about an hour nap in my van before the next round. All right. So then after that we did that was conversion. Last round was death and zeal. We actually did all the missions we did were the 5 objectives. One was the diagonal, and the other 2 were table quarters. So I'm not sure why. That's just what the TO chose to do. And then in this matchup, I played against Gene Stealer Call. So we're both 1-on-1 at this point. What is that? There it goes. Closing. See if this wants to load. This is the Gene Stealer Call list. Discipline Broodmine. He took troops as his compulsory. Cult Creed, Myriad Cult, Custom Toil, Cold Killers, Industrial Affinity, War Convoy. He had a Biophagus, a Nexos, a Sanctus, an Acolyte Icon Ward, a Magus, a Primus, Acolyte Hybrids, a big squad of Acolyte Hybrids, another 2 more little squads of Acolyte Hybrids, Neophyte Hybrids, This, I believe, was, what's that, 11, 15, yeah, 20-man squad. Another 10-man Neophyte Hybrids, Kellamorph, 2 squads of Pure Strains, one of which got the extra move and stuff when they first pop up. 2 Achilles Ridge Runners, Jackal squad with the Wolf Quads, 2 Rock Grinder, and a truck. So that one actually, same thing. I lost the role for defender. I won the role to go first. It happened in all 3 games. So it was kind of interesting, but all right. So I once again took Lakeland just because with my speed and stuff, I do find a lot of times you can do enough damage to be able to reliably get 10 on it, unless you're already losing badly, like happened in my first game. He had 7 characters, so I took Assassination. Then with that many bodies, I took no prisoners. He took Brute Swarm, which is have more models on me in his zone, the middle, my zone, on the table, and if he does all 4, he gets an extra, which normally is pretty decent one for Gene Stealer Cult. I took Retrieve Battlefield Data, and he took Assassination. I don't think that was a good choice, but I don't give up a lot of good secondaries. I only have 3 characters. Oh, sorry, no, I have 4 characters. So I guess it was good. He could have got 13, but I played them really defensively in this game. So once again, I won the roll to go first, which I hate against Gene Stealer Cult because you don't know where they're going to pop up out of the blips, and he had a lot of stuff in reserve. So I moved up kind of very cautiously, got a couple little angles with my Sagittar, my bikes. I didn't push hard because I didn't know where he was going to show up. So he ends up, his one Gene Stealer squad, when they popped up, put them in reserve, popped a few things up. All I was really able to shoot, I killed the Goliath, not the truck, the rock, whatever the heavy, I think it's called the rock grinder truck thing. And then that's all I really got to do turn 1. I can't remember. Maybe I got a shot at some guys, but nothing significant. So I kind of just raised my banners. Oh no, I didn't take banners this game. Yeah, so I kind of just killed a couple things and sat back because there's nothing like banners or anything that I have to interior that I have to do early. I could do it all late, killing stuff. It's all killing and claiming. So then he moved towards me, he tried to do some shooting, he moved up, he didn't really get a chance to get any charges. I played very defensively. Then on my turn, I managed to, he moved a Gene Stealer squad up on the objective. His second Gene Stealer squad moved up onto the objective in the middle, inside a building. But I was able to get angles to shoot them with the bikes and one of my Sagittars. So I think I killed 7 or 8 of them. And then I managed to charge them with the Hearthguard. I think it was like a 9-inch charge, and I made it. And then, so I killed the last 2 or 3 of them with that. Picked up one or both of his little Achilles Ridge Runners, or whatever they're called. There was so much stuff, it's hard to remember exactly what happened where. He had moved his bikes up. I killed a bunch of the bikes. I think I left 2 or 3 of them alive because the next turn he ended up bringing a quad back. But let's see, like my turn 2, I held 8, and then I 12 to the rest of the way. Direct assault. Don't remember exactly what that was. I think that was take an objective you didn't have and then kill a unit off an objective or something like that. And then he ended up forward. So yeah, he had so much in reserve, and I got first. So I killed what I could. The turn 2 I killed. Turn 3 he brought a bunch of it in. I off-spec scanned one squad with the bikes and actually picked it up. Calamorph tried to snipe one of my characters to call. Didn't do very well. Left him on 3 wounds. Then I really just started cleaning stuff up because I was getting angles. Just put out so much shooting with Votann into little stuff like that. Like I put the heavy Magna Rail into one of his 10-man little squads, made it the auto 6 to wound with Uthar, and so the wounds carried over and just picked up the whole squad with just that one gun. And then the rest of its guns picked up another little 10-man squad. And then between the Sagittars, I've played Gene Stealer 3 times with Votann, and it pretty much goes the same way, picking up like 40, 50 bodies a turn when you can see them. And they still don't seem to be able to do enough damage back as long as you can speed bump the Gene Stealers with your Hearthguard. So this one, another one, just everything went the way I would want, went very smoothly. So another game where I don't think it really tested the list. It just shows that Votann really, really are good into lower level armies and players. Like if there's any skill gap at all and you're running Votann, you're really going to mop people up. Because if they are too cautious or get out of position, you just have so much damage, then it's just they can't really recover from it. So the only game that really I feel gave me any kind of insight into what I should or shouldn't do at the list was the first one. So that's really that. So I'm going to go back to the list, see if there's, and we'll look at what I may or may not want to change. So Forge Master, Uthar, money with the land fortress. You need them for the auto 6 and the 0 damage and the healing, giving it +1 to hit, all that stuff. So it's like those stay, like those don't go anywhere. The call, he's only in here because if you guys saw the video where we made the list, I just didn't know what to do with that 90 points. Like the cheapest unit we have is the troop at 130. So the best I could do was get up to 115 without really dropping good stuff. And so it's like I just threw these couple things into the troop squad and him to use that last 115. Grimnir was okay. I liked having the option of the psychic secondary. I don't know if I necessarily need the murmuring stave. I did fortify. I like that extra CP though. Being able to do the CP and the action if you want, and then giving him pragmatic wisdom. It's good because if you ever did a mission where you took the psychic secondary and lost the CP, you'd really notice it. So if I'm taking, I mean, you almost got to stay in a lift just for that extra CP. It's just great. So the call could be cut. So let's go to this. The Land Fortress, great. Sagittarius, great. The speed, the amount of shots they put out for the points. Pioneers, bikes, yeah, bikes are money. Bikes with obsec, speed, fairly tough, good shots. Like I wouldn't tweak any of this. This is all core staying. This here, Uthar and the engine master guy are must take. Terminator, same. They're so tough to kill. People are always shocked how hard they kill. They're okay in combat, but they're disintegrators with the mortals and then their grenade launchers. This put out so much shooting for a 5-man unit, and then having this 12-inch deny, and this their billboard, the teleport crest, the ability to pick them up and get to places really helps with the mobility. So the only things possible to drop are the warriors and the call. But if you drop the warriors, you lose your little hold backfield objectives. So if I drop the call and the warriors, maybe I take another Terminator squad or something, but then who's sitting back holding stuff? So I almost feel the troop needs to stay. So I could drop the Magna Rail and the med pack and the call and get the points for like 3 more bikes, but I can't take another squad because I'm already at 3. So I can make these all 4-man bike squads, which is okay, but they're a little tougher to hide, but because then you're in the same spot. Well, so you still have the troops. So then, yeah, so that's a consideration. And then, or you could possibly make one of these Hearth Guards like an 8-man squad. I gotta figure out the exact points, but add a couple Hearth Guard in here, which isn't a horrible idea, because then you have a little meteor one. Maybe makes them the one with Warp Strike. So now you have an 8-man squad with a 12-inch deny. I don't hate that. But the little call in the 2 games where I took banners, I used the teleport crest on him turn 1 and jumped him over behind terrain because it's a player place that I had set up with obscuring or crates where he wouldn't be blocked, and had him just jump over there by himself and raise a banner. So that, and kind of by himself. So yeah, they could send something over there to go after him. So either they send some stuff over there to kill him, which he's kind of out of position, so it'd have to be fast stuff. In which case, it's not coming after the rest of me, so it's almost like a 90-point bait to try to get part of their army out of position. Especially if you set up the trade so that when they go after him, you'll have shots down to whatever he sends that way. And if they don't, he's towing an objective with a banner up, which helps with points. So I don't think I hate him. And then having the Magna Rail and the med pack in the 1 troop squad almost makes me want to put them in position to do stuff like, the med pack, I can bring stuff back to protect me. The Magna Rail, I need to get it shot. Whereas really, they need to just be hiding and doing objectives. Like, I think in 2 games, they ended up dying because I wanted to get to the position to shoot the Magna Rail. And they just don't survive like a lot of the rest of the list. So those would I'll probably drop those and give me 25 points. I can either put some stuff into the bikes, give them either a searchlight or a comms array. Or I could upgrade the Grimnir so that he can cast 2 powers, no 3. Yeah, well, he knows 3 for the Mermaid Stave, but he can only cast 2 still. So I can make it so that he can cast the 3rd power, which wouldn't be horrible, and then just leave the troops low. Leave the troops just bare bone. And then keep the call so he can use the teleport crest to kind of do that bait. Because the 2 games this list just crushed. And the 1 game I lost, I think, I'm not necessarily sure it was a list issue as much as my terrain placement and possibly secondary choices and execution. So I think I will keep the list intact for the tournament in 2 weeks and give it another run and hopefully get some better games to test it in. I hate to completely swap a list after 1 loss, especially when it performs so well in the other matchups. So I like the list. I think it performed well. I think the 1 loss is got to see if that is just a really tough matchup or if it's like a 50-50 matchup and I screwed it up. I was also into, I think, a very good player. So I don't hate the list. I think take it to the tournament in 2 weeks, give it another run, and then I think we'll have a more definitive. And here comes the train. But then I'll have a more definitive thought and idea on what, if anything, needs to change. But the only things I really think might want to change are the call and the warriors. I could always drop the Grimnir and get those points, put something else good in, but that extra CP every turn is just so nice, as well as having the potential for denies and casting that Fortify when you need it. So we'll see. I guess other than the rundown, we didn't really tweak much on the list, so I don't know what anybody learned, but and anyone who knows Votann probably has come up with the things I have. Pioneer's amazing, Sagittarius great, Land Fortress great. Definitely love the Hearthguard. Not a big fan of the Berserks. I have run them before. I thought about dropping some of this and putting them in here. I just don't like the lack of shooting. Like, this is a shooting list with a little bit of combat. Having 1 unit with no shooting that has to get in to do any damage. They die before they get there. They don't fight on death. So you can put them in the Land Fortress and use them as like a counter strike, but I just find having the extra shooting better. But that's it for now. I will not sure if I'll make any videos before I do the review from the next tournament. Doing a bunch of moving and other stuff here at the house. So we'll see. I may get my hands on a World Leaders book and start do my review on that. I haven't even looked at it yet. Start doing some more stuff like that. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great night.